Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me once a week. I'm obsessed with constant and never ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe now so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to the 19th episode of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. Okay, in a recent episode, I talked about how our relationship with ourselves can be one of the most rewarding relationships we have. So, our relationship with ourselves and our worldview has a really big effect on our life. It also affects the relationships we have with other people. So, how are your relationships going with other people right now? Did you know that every single decision you make about other people has to do with your own worldview? I mean, you bring you into every interaction you have with other people, and they do the same. I mean, we all do it. So think about the relationships you have right now. How is your worldview playing into these interactions? Do you notice consistent patterns? Are you only looking at things through your viewpoint, or are you able to step out of your worldview to really connect and empathize with those closest to you? Let me give you an example. My little sister is a medical device rep. Her husband is a project manager. They have a really nice relationship. Now, his job requires early mornings. He leaves usually the house around 6 a.m. Now, since quarantine started, her hours are much more flexible, so she's able to sleep in a little longer. By the time he comes home from work, settles down, spends a little time with her, and has dinner, he's tired. In her mind, his tiredness translates as grumpy or even detached. He just says he's tired from working all day. In his mind, there's no problem. In her mind, there is. So who's right? Well, they both are, of course, because that's their perspective. But since she has a problem and he does not, the problem is hers and not his. Now, he could choose to make it his problem, but he doesn't, and that's actually, I think, a good thing. So what can she do to make the situation better? Well, she and I talked about it, and she realized that she's only considering the situation from her perspective, not his. Once she looked at it from his point of view, she realized how tired she would be too if she was getting up every morning at 5:30. And she also realized that he probably stays up later than he wants to because he loves her and he wants her to be happy. And so that makes her feel loved. Well, so how did this little exercise help her? Well, because of stepping out of her point of view to see his point of view, she was able to empathize with him. So now they're going to bed a little earlier so that he gets enough sleep and doesn't feel so tired, and she gets really quality time when they're together. So they both win. This makes me think of a quote by Wayne Dyer where he says, "When you change the way you see things, the things you see change." I love this quote so much. I can apply it to almost everything in my life, and I think about it just about every day. And it's helped me in more ways than just relationships. But now, it isn't always easy to realize that the problems, a lot of times with our relationships, lie with us. It's much easier to blame the other person, especially in our closest relationships. I mean, the more aware we are of our worldview, the easier it is to navigate our relationship with others. So, a good relationship with yourself also helps with your other relationships because it allows you to take responsibility for your actions. Recognizing that you have needs and desires that others may or may not share is important to realize. I'll give you an example of this that's a little more personal. My husband was in the Air Force, and so when I married him, he had very specific high standards for organization and general tidiness as a whole. I, on the other hand, was not in the Air Force, so our standards were a bit lopsided. Now, I was a little nervous that this was going to be a problem, but honestly, it wasn't at all because the other benefit of being in the Air Force is they also taught him to be very self-sufficient. So I literally have to race him if I'm going to do laundry and some of the other random chores around the house. Well, one day I asked him why that was. And he said something that I've never forgotten. He said, I realize that I like things a very certain way around the house, and that's my issue, not yours. If I feel something needs to be done, I just do it. Well, what could have been a big source of issues in our marriage isn't an issue at all because he recognizes that it's his issue, and when he wants something done, he does it. So I love that, and it's helped so much. It actually helps me in the rest of my life as well. So being able to step out of your point of view and see from someone else's point of view helps you not only to connect, but also to empathize. So the next time you're having a problem with a loved one or even a coworker, think about what point of view they're coming from and see if that helps you to understand their side. Sometimes that may be all they want, and I think it's super freeing to know that. True freedom comes from being completely responsible for yourself and your actions, and that can be another step towards living your wildly successful lifestyle. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, sharing it could change someone else's day for the better, and that's one of my main goals. So I love you all, and I will talk to you in a few days.